In the world of ophthalmology, things are always changing. It takes a while, but when they do, those transitions can sometimes be a little difficult. My name is John Weymouth, and I'm the president of MEDiSURG, and what I'd like to do today is talk to you about the Alcon Infiniti, a little bit about the machine, and what to expect with it. So let's get started. The Alcon Infiniti was developed back in about 2003, so it's been almost 20 years now with the system. And it's been replaced by the Alcon Centurion, but this year, this machine is slowly fading away. There are customers that have a lot of consumables already for it, and we'll be able to take care of them for at least up to 5 years. And if you have a problem or a question, please don't hesitate to contact us. We'll be able to help you with the Alcon Infiniti. What I'd like to do now is to kind of go over the system for you, kind of get a brief overview, tell you all about the system, what it does, and so you have an understanding of this particular technology. The Alcon Infiniti is a system that does cataract surgery and it does anterior vitrectomy. What I mean by cataract surgery is that this is a model of the eye, and in the eye we have a lens, and this lens will get cloudy, and when that occurs, they use this machine and they go in and actually take this lens out. Also, sometimes in the back of the eye, the vitreous will work its way up into the front of the eye during surgery. Not what they like, sometimes it happens. And we have another probe that will go in, and that's used to take care of the vitreous. So where they go in through the eye and they remove the vitreous that's in the front of the eye that they want to get out of the way. So that's kind of a brief overview of the surgery itself. So let's talk about this piece of equipment here. When you look at it, it has a screen on it that looks like a computer. It's got an interface for the modules that are used for each surgery. These are disposable cassettes. They place into the unit, it locks in, it checks it out. We have our connections on the front panel here to plug in the handpiece that they use for cataract surgery. And we have connections here for plugging in the vitrector that's used for the times that you need to get the anterior vitreous out of the eye. Also, on the back of the unit, we have a irrigation bottle, and this has a drip chamber. So what we do when we get ready for surgery is that we fill up this drip chamber. It's about 3/4 full, and then we hang it on the pole that's on the back of the system. The technology has changed in the recent years, but in the past we used an IV pole that would raise and lower, and as it went higher, it increased the pressure inside the eye. As the pole came down, it made it less. So we have full control over that, and we have memories with this system. So as you set up for surgery, a doctor will plug in his settings that he likes, and then the system will actually move all the controls and everything to that particular part of the procedure. All the settings will be what they want. So let's go through and do a quick prime of the unit. Here we have our handpiece. It has an electrical connector. There are 2 ports here. You can use either one. There's a red dot and a red dot. We line those up, push that in until it clicks, and then the system is going to recognize it. I'm going to select the doctor up here, and it's showing me step by step to plug everything in to make sure that the system is ready to be primed. So I'll put those 2 together. I have my bottle spiked. Everything is set up. I'm going to touch the prime button. And what it's doing now, the pump is spinning. It's pulling fluid through the tubing. As you can see, the little air bubbles that are working their way out. And as it fills up all the tubing, then it's going to go through a test to make sure that each of the connections are good and the cassette is good. It's basically a self-check before surgery. What is really kind of cool is that if this completes the self-check, we know we have vacuum and we know we have irrigation pressure, which are the 2 biggest things you need to make sure that are working when you're doing surgery. So now it's completed. It's drawing the fluid. It's doing a vacuum test. There's our vacuum, and then it's going to release it, and that's testing the valves to make sure that the vacuum can be released safely. So when that's all completed, we now know we have vacuum and we have irrigation pressure for inside the eye. Everything is going to be working. Next thing we'll do is connect our handpiece we put our tubing. Blue is vacuum, white is irrigation. This is our test chamber, and this is used to kind of mimic what the cornea inside the eye is. So when it does its test, you can actually see that it's working. So I'm going to press fill, and now I'm going to let some fluid into here. And what I've done is pinch this to create an air passage, and now it's filled up with fluid. So this is filled, ready to go. Next thing to do is to go ahead and press the button that is test handpiece. Actually, it'll finish. If you notice here, it's timing it out for filling the handpiece. So if you left the tubing disconnected, it's not going to drain your whole bottle. So there you can see it shut off automatically. I could have bypassed it, but now we'll go right to testing the handpiece. So you can see it's pulling the suction on it. It's going to run the flow to make sure that there's no obstructions in the line. It's venting it. So what we just went through by priming the cassette, we know we have vacuum and irrigation. We hooked the handpiece up. We filled the test chamber. We have the needle on here. It actually tested to see if the needle was on there firmly. It tested to see if the flow rate was good. It tested if there was vacuum, and it tested to make sure that it released the vacuum. We now have a working system. So if there's a complaint where there's no vacuum or the doctor says it's not working, well, you might want to check a connection that might have come loose while handing it over to the surgeon. But there's one thing that I do that I recommend. Let me pull the foot pedal over here. What I recommend for surgery to test it is that you have the irrigation line. I'm going to pinch that off, and then I'm going to press the foot pedal, and notice that the test chamber is collapsing. And then while pushing it, I'm going to release it, and it fills it back up, even while I'm still pressing the foot pedal. So I've proven I have vacuum, and I've proven I have irrigation that can overcome the vacuum. Now, as a little quick example, let me lower the bottle down here real low. This is now saying I don't have as much pressure in here. Let me push the foot pedal. I created the occlusion here. I release it. Look how slowly it fills up. And plus it noted that the irrigation pressure was not good enough. So the machine does give you feedback as to what's happening, which is good and which is bad, and how to correct it. So put the bottle back up, or if I want, I can simply select one of the modes and it'll go ahead and bring it to that preset height. So that is the quick overview of setting up the system and how it works for cataract surgery. And to show you how it works for vitrectomy, we take our vitrectomy handpiece. We have a very long tube, and this one is actually air that's pulsing to make the cutter work. So it'll go on this particular unit probe, I only have one connector, so it goes on the black, and they're keyed so you can't put them on incorrectly. I'll go over to vitrectomy, and then there's several different types of probes, and you can select those probes. There's a newer style one. This is the original style one. This line here is suction that connects to this little tiny hole that's on the end of this. And when it sucks in vitreous, the cutter will cut off the vitreous, open back up again, and suck the next piece in. So we have to connect our tubing. So I take the tubing off the end of the system here, connect the blue to blue, and this one I will put a little syringe on, a little needle actually, and that'll go into the eye to give irrigation, and then this goes into the eye and gives us our suction and cutting. So it asks you if you want to test the unit. So here's the next step, connecting it up. Next step, putting our tip on the end, and then putting it into some tubing to irrigate. So when you do the suction, and then you can actually go right to surgery. So now I'm in the surgery mode. And then what we do with the system is that we've got our cut rate, we have our suction. So when I push the pedal down, you'll hear the cutter starting, it's pulsing in my hand, and then I can change how much vacuum I have that I'm pulling. So that's how the system works, really straightforward. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. We'd be happy to assist you with anything in the world of this system as far as repairing, selling you a new unit to replace this particular system, and anything that you might have questions on, we can help you. So thank you for your attention and have a fabulous day.